Hi, everyone. Welcome to Tech and Tidy, the podcast about cleaning businesses and the people and tech that keep them running. I'm your host, Brent Monson. I'm joined today by Katerina Kai from Mass Commercial Cleaning, and we're talking about something that all cleaning companies depend on, building strong client relationships and communicating effectively. So, Katerina, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, Brett. It's always nice to see you.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you first get started in the cleaning industry?
I think I had a little bit of an unusual start, but maybe everybody says that in the cleaning industry. I joined a company that has a network of small businesses trying to help, retiring owners transition from private ownership to employee ownership. And so there was a great cleaning company in Massachusetts. It was run by a pair of brothers, and they were retiring. They had wanted to do this transition to employee ownership, and they brought me because I have a background in running small businesses, and whether it's a startup or just kind of SMBs, and I got into it this way.
Okay. But was it your first entry into the cleaning industry in general, or
Yes.
okay,
Absolutely.
interesting.
I have
Yeah.
not run a cleaning business, nor have I worked in a cleaning business before. But I was really surprised to learn that there are 1.1 million cleaning businesses in the United States. And there's some really big ones, like billion-dollar ones, obviously, but so many smaller ones and so many hardworking people in this industry. It's just crazy.
Yeah. It is a great industry. What was that like coming in without a background? Was the learning curve pretty steep, or do you feel like you were able to catch on pretty quickly?
I think I was very lucky that mass commercial cleaning had already some, foundation. So they had a clock-in system. They had like the financial already in QuickBooks, and so there was contracts, a central repository of documents, etc. Afterwards, I went on to run like another cleaning company, and I realized, hey, that's not the case in every cleaning company.
Mm.
Also, I would say that this industry is not necessarily very complex, right? It's not, like advanced science or potentially, building like a rocket, but it's very, uh there are a lot of moving pieces and a lot of people and communication interaction. And so I think I was learning the business based on mass commercial cleaning, and then what was challenging for me is to understand, well, what are best practices in the industry? What should people be doing? What should we be doing? Based on that. And that was actually much harder to learn than, hey, what is mass commercial cleaning doing? Because there's so many small private companies. And unlike other industries, like I've also run an auto repair shop.
Mm.
Auto repair, for example, or retail is very well studied. You can go out there and get any kind of benchmarks that you want. And in this case, there really wasn't. And so it was kind of hard to know, hey, what's best practice? What should we be doing here?
So where did you turn to get those, best practices or that learning? Was there coaches, mentors, or
Um,
institutions,
I think they're
Google?
starting yeah, they're starting to be like some of these folks in the industry. First of all, I also wanna say, right, that I whenever I go to a bin and walk, and see other people, I try to introduce myself, and everybody have been really friendly and open to discussing and sharing, because I think at the end of the day, we all know that it's the work that has to be done, and so it's not just knowing how the work should be done that you're suddenly gonna steal the secrets or, kind of, win, everything. And also it's very right, it's geographically, also kind of tight in the sense that it's hard to manage an account that's too far outside of your geography unless you have a manager or you have a way to really get your eyes on that building. So anyways, but obviously there's ways to do it. And your software also helps with that a lot. So I obviously turn to the bigger organizations like ISSA and BSA BSCAI. I always get the BSACI. I always get their acronym a little bit confused. But there were good information there, but I would say that again, there wasn't information like, hey, there was information like how to bid, what's the average square foot per hour that a cleaner should do, what are the best times for, wiping the floor versus vacuuming and so on and so forth. But there wasn't as much, I think, information. There was more information about the business of cleaning, like the actual act of cleaning, than the business of cleaning, the actual running of a commercial cleaning business.
Mm, that's great. So
Yeah.
you stepped into an existing business.
Yeah.
What was it like when you went to bid your first job or, create the first customer relationship that was yours that didn't come over from the business? What was that experience like?
Um, I think it was, a little bit of trial and error, honestly. Now I understand that there's more tools right out there as well to help you with those kind of things. But I think I took a course with one of the guys that used to work in the industry, but now has become like kind of a coach. And so it was pretty straightforward. I think there's not like 10 different ways to build a building, honestly, Brett. I mean, there's just, I think what it comes down to is one of the things that's really hard for us is knowing our own efficiency, right? It's not hard to like go look at data and say, oh, and it's also not hard for an outsider to say, okay, there's like 10 tasks here to be done, right? From dusting to like mopping or vacuuming and trash. There's You can break down the tasks, you can organize it, you can use an Excel spreadsheet or other tools. But what's hard is to know our own efficiency, know how we can train, what our processes are around that we can build so that we can adhere to those efficiencies. And then the other piece of information, obviously, is the afterwards data. Like once we put in our bid, unless it's a like open bid, we don't know even what the other people bid. But even when it's an open bid, we only have the price, but we don't know, what is it based on hour? Or basically they were willing to take a lower gross margin or a margin overall, or if it's um, you know, whether it's rate or whether it's hours, whether they were more efficient or they're willing to cut corners. And one of the things I really like, not I don't wanna say maybe let me say, I don't wanna say maybe cut corners, but yeah, the one of the things I really struggle with is, like, how clean is clean, right? Everybody's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we pay attention to detail, we do all these things," but we know that dust takes, like, multiple days to build up. So it's not possible, even in the scope of work when you say, "We dust daily," probably don't dust daily. Um, so all of these things, how clean is clean? A lot of it comes down now that we realize also over time. There's a lot of the soft things that, doesn't go into managing a big cleaning crew. I wonder if the bigger companies have figured this out, right? You're managing a lot of part-time hourly workers or even full-time, but hourly workers, and there's a lot of support that's needed to make sure that communication goes well, that they, feel part of the company because they're not really connected to the company. And so, besides, like, looking at the work, looking at the quality of the work and the actual time spent on the work and the different task, we also need to understand who is that cleaner? What is their family like? What kind of support do they need? Where are they most likely to fall down, you know? And so, a lot of that is soft things that I don't think a tool necessarily can do, but we realize we have to put a lot more human resources. And we realize also our managers are effective when they look at the people that does the work and care about the people and support the people versus just looking at the hours and the results and the actual like efficiency of the work.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so your workers, your employees, they're not in the office, right? They're out in the
They're not.
field.
Yeah.
So your managers have to really create that bridge where they establish that human connection.
Yeah.
Is
And
it
also
is Oh, go ahead.
we don't have standard like managers don't think about, oh, managers don't think about this building as like, oh, two bathroom, five offices and so on and so forth, right? And then therefore this they don't think like in numbers like that. They think, oh, this is like 3 days a week, like it's in a really bad location, like, oh, hard to get to, the lights in the front doesn't work, you know what I mean? Like they think about it in this way. And so that's like how then because they perceive that's how the cleaner perceives the job.
Hmm. Yeah, which is valuable. That's interesting, right? It's probably not the data that you would typically collect as you're doing a walkthrough. Yeah.
Exactly. That's that.
So interesting. If you're a new listener to Tech and Tidy, this show is presented by Clean Smarts, which our team created to solve a lot of the problems you hear discussed on these episodes. Clean Smarts is a cleaning management software platform designed to help service contractors and janitorial teams run like clockwork. Whether you're scheduling crews across multiple sites, tracking hours, managing equipment, or improving profitability, Clean Smarts brings it all together with an intuitive mobile app that employees love. It's one easy system so teams can show up, get the job done, and improve the quality of their service. We also just launched the brand new Clean Smarts web app version 2, a more modern experience with new and improved tools and powerful add-ons to make day-to-day operations easier and more efficient. If you want to future-proof your cleaning operations, find out more at cleansmarts.com. Would you say that in a similar way, your managers are kind of the frontline interaction with your clients as well? Or how does that relationship work with your clients?
Yes and no, right? Client relationship management is also a little bit tricky in this case, and maybe it's because I don't have enough experience in service businesses in general, but I would say that in this case, what I've noticed is that the end user is not necessarily our customer. Think about a large organization, especially a banking system, where the people who are working in that branch, they never really talk to us. But they are the ones who are experiencing the cleaning. But they're not the
Mhm.
one who is the decision maker, who's like looking at the quote and figuring out, should I go with company A or company B? And so I love what you guys have done within the tool as well, to have the QR code to give feedback and to, right for that. And also that customer interaction. Because what we've noticed is it's hard to collect the feedback. We actually want to have the feedback. Um, I want to have the feedback, but from who do I get it from? Um, it's not the facility manager who probably goes to that location maybe once or twice a quarter, or maybe once or twice a year. Sometimes, I've had customers who come to us, and I say, "Hey, we didn't hear anything from Michelle." And Michelle never, we gave Michelle our contact information and so on and so forth, and Michelle never complained about this. And then the facility manager is like, "Well, I don't even know who Michelle is." It's just
Mm.
like, okay. And so the managers, certainly when they stop by, when the workers are there, when the workers are right there, right? Then they do get the interaction. We've definitely had multiple instances where we got no complaints from the facility manager, but when the manager went to do the QC, when our manager went to do a QC and actually um, walk through the building, especially when the building has a second shift, then the workers are like, "Oh, thank goodness you're here. Let us tell you what we really need here." Because maybe they didn't even know I should go to the facility manager if I have a problem with the cleaning. Because, it's just a lowly hourly worker who's working the second shift. Who cares what they think about what the CEO, what the sales and marketing guys think? But at the end of the day, it's all part of the building. And, like that's what information I think is really hard because of the work that we do is so not seen and disconnected from the communication is a little bit distant. And yeah, I'm not saying this in a very eloquent way, but I think you get the meaning.
No, yeah, no, I understand. And so how do you help bridge that gap? You said the walkthroughs, right? The interaction when you're doing the QC.
Yeah.
Is that one of the primary tools, or what else has
Yes.
worked for you?
No, that is one of the primary tools, and I really wanna expose that. I really like the way that CleanSmarts have it so that you can expose that to the customer. Sometimes I do share that with the customers, like, just export it as a PDF. We haven't been able to get our customers on yet to give issues because honestly, I was really surprised when customers said that they didn't really want to do it, because one time we sat in front of a school system and we said, "We have this great, ability to for your people to give us issues in that system. And they said, "Oh, but maybe it would be confusing for our workers because we have a ticketing system if something's broken or something needs to be fixed. And so we
Mm,
really want them to use that ticketing system. And if we give them another system, they're going to get confused as to which one gets." And then the facility manager feels then that at the same time they're getting out of loop, right? So you see what I mean? Like maybe it's not just the communications destroying, but because everybody functions a little bit differently and have their own preferences, it's hard for us also to go with our process and say, no, no, this is our process. We really think that you should use it. And if you use it, then we think that we're going to figure out, like, not spend as much cycle time getting the information, but really then get the information that it benefits both of us to get to the level of cleaning at the most cost effective. And that part maybe should be part of the sales process as well. We do
mm.
talk about Clean Smart and how it helps us to like track our workers and, get supplies, requests and track it to see, but we don't talk a lot about the how do we get feedback from you.
Yeah. So you have to adapt. Do you
Right.
find that most
We are often
clients,
reactive, and I hate being reactive. We can't really be as proactive as we would like.
yeah, because they sometimes pick the communication channels. So do they end up emailing you? Is that kind of the typical? It's
It's
still,
usually what happens when something becomes acute, right? And so I'm like, "Oh my god, this is so bad now." Like, of course, we're gonna pick out things like if the cleaner isn't checking in, if the cleaner has always been, like, shorting his hours, and so on and so forth, we're gonna know, "Hey, you know what? We should go and do a QC and see how things are really going, and maybe check in." But again, most people are hesitant to confront the bad news. And I'm always
mm,
like, guys, let's just, if there's something uncomfortable, let's say it. And let's say, rather, because it makes us look so much better when so that's part of what we're trying to do as well, is just to say, okay, let's not be afraid because sometimes was like a lot of the cleaner and in the cleaning industry, the mentality is like, if there's no complaints, everything is good. I
mm.
don't love that as much because, like, if there's for me, if there's no complaints, it just means that we don't really know what's going on. So,
That's a great insight.
yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, any stories you have? I guess kind of to wrap things up, any stories you have of maybe a an interaction or a problem with a client that really was looking bad that you were able to turn around and help fix the relationship? I don't know if there's a specific
Yeah, I
occasion
think
or event.
Yeah, I mean, I think the ranges what vary. So recently we had a customer come to us and says, "You know what? We're looking for another cleaner." And I was, kudos to her for saying it to me because a lot of times again, it's uncomfortable, right? It's uncomfortable to give somebody bad news. And so kudos to her for saying that to me. And then I didn't, try to refute her or try to deny or any of these things. I just kept asking questions. So for example, she said, "It's been 6 months since the cleaning hasn't been any good." And I said, "Oh, okay. Has it ever been good in the past?" And then she said, "When Cindy was here, it was great." And I looked into CleanSmart, and then it said that Cindy left there at the end of June. So I said, "Oh, well," and that was like back in, October. So I said, "Wow, okay, so it's only been like 4 months." And then she was like, "Oh, you know what? Uh, like, yeah, it's been," so kind of having that conversation, like, again, I always say, I learned this from one of my old bosses. If an angry customer still wants to talk to you, that's actually a good news. That means that you have an opportunity to ask them questions. In my other cleaning company, like customer called to cancel, and I've tried multiple times to reach out and get her on the phone, and she just won't come on the phone with me. And to me, that's like kind of then a hopeless case, unfortunately, that I don't have. I of course would have like showed up and just knocked on the door or brought some coffee or like something. I wasn't able to do that, but I find that if we go with, like, just being human, right? This is something that I treasure a lot, which is I believe sincerely that everybody is trying to do their best, and if you're not doing the best, it's because you weren't given the information or you're not trained or equipped or just, like, in that right job, right? And so and because we're all human, we want Even this morning, I was having a conversation with my mother, who usually refutes me on everything that I say. And then at one point, she like actually agreed with me on something. And I noticed after that, my mood like brightened a lot more. And I was much more willing and much more open to listen to what she was saying rather than shutting down because, she was refuting. And so I guess the point that I was trying to make is like, if we just are human and go with my and just says like, we're open, we want to hear what you're saying and we want to understand, and if you can give us that information, then that gives us an opportunity to be better. Usually people are very open to that and respond to that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what a great way to end this episode. I think that's
Yeah.
great advice. Yep.
Yeah.
Treat everyone like a human, treat everyone like they're trying to do their best.
Yeah, especially your children, because that's the other thing that I
Mm,
also I very often liken the running of a small business with teaching my kids things, right? Because we assume that everybody knows already. Like we assume because this person maybe might have I have, like, tweens, and so we assume, "Oh, yeah, they know how to speak, talk, walk, like, they go to school, like, all these things, so of course they would know this because we know this, but let's not assume, let's, like, take the time, and then after multiple sessions, if they're still not getting it, then we're like, "Oh, well, what's happening here?" So, anyways, sorry, I'm just, like,
yeah.
rambling and touching a lot of topics.
No,
I feel
no,
like
that's good.
really bad for you because you're just trying to, like, catch a little bit of thread of what I'm saying, and it's, like, going all over the
No,
place.
no, it's great. Yeah, and I think I like what you said about kids, right? I've got kids that are the same age,
Yeah.
tweens, and nothing will kill their motivation or their spirit more than if they try really hard and you say, no, that wasn't good enough, right? You have to recognize that they're working at their capability and that their intention, right? You have to recognize their intention and coach with positivity and with, high expectations and high encouragement. Yeah.
I love this. Do you know the Adam Grant parenting philosophy, the 2 by 2 matrix? What you just said is exactly what that is. So on the
Oh,
one
okay.
axis, it's expectation. On the other axis is support. So we
Mm,
exactly what you just said is the one, the quadrant that we should aim to, right? Not like high expectation, low support, or low expectation, high support. Those are kind of not quite what you want to hit, but high expectation, high support. I love that.
yeah. We use it in our families and in our businesses. So,
Okay. Yeah. Good.
well, thanks for joining us, Katerina. Had a
Of
really pleasant
course.
conversation and
Yeah.
really appreciate it. That was our episode. Thanks for listening in. Make sure to follow Tech and Tidy for more conversations with operators, owners, and innovators in the cleaning world. New episodes are on the way. Thanks for joining.